Morning coffee. Charlene Chamberlain is losing her voice in here. I am Mark Cook, and it is time for the Reputation Wrap with Mr. Gary Frisch.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Gary. Welcome back. How are
Thanks,
you?
I'm good. Keeping it real. How are you?
What's happening in the Reputation department this week?
Well, I wanted to bring up this thing involving 50 Cent.
50
he
Cent.
got himself-
Controversial.
He got himself into some trouble the last couple of days.
Fitty?
Yeah.
Fitty got himself into
But
trouble?
nobody was hurt. Nobody was physically hurt.
Oh, okay, good.
Verbal trouble?
Yeah, verbal trouble, social media trouble.
What happened?
Yeah, he was flying into an airport in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati airport, and he got on video this janitor at the airport who was very quiet, and he just assumed this poor young person was on drugs or something, and started kind of making fun of him on video. And he posted
that's
the
mean.
video, what are you hopped up on today? This is the quality of our nation's youth, et cetera, et cetera.
What?
And he put
And-
that on YouTube?
He put it on Twitter.
Oh, my word.
And what he didn't know was that this young man has Asperger's syndrome and has work anxiety just for this kind of reason.
But Gary, he shouldn't be doing it anyway, whether
Yeah.
the
No,
person
you're
is
ex-
disabled.
you're
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm sorry,
you're
it's not even just that
absolutely
this person has a
You're right.
problem.
You're right.
And it was a poor decision by him in the first place, regardless. But he learned that he had Asperger's syndrome, and obviously there was a big backlash. The family's attorney, and he issued an apology, but the family's attorney suggested he do the right thing and step up and make a donation of $10,000 to Autism Speaks.
Okay.
Now, to his credit, 50 Cent donated $100,000 to Autism
He
Speaks.
should at least do that.
So he turned a negative into somewhat of a positive. I would not go rushing to cash that check because 50 Cent is currently in bankruptcy.
Oh, my gosh.
And when asked, this young man how he felt about 50 Cent, he says the guy's a jerk. So regardless, I don't think the $100,000 contribution really meant too much to the kid who was the target.
Do you think this was a publicity stunt?
No, I don't think.
He really did do this.
Yeah, he really.
And just did it.
Yeah, I don't see what kind of good publicity could be earned from that,
Good, bad,
other than the
controversial.
concept. Any publicity is good publicity. No, I think he looked like.
I'm under the belief that people just don't think. Because if he would have taken a second to think about what he was doing, he probably would have stopped himself. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and then there's kind of premeditation because he had his cell phone videotaping it as it was going on, and I'm not sure what that was all about.
Yeah, it's a little strange, especially for somebody in such a public eye.
It's high profile.
People
guy.
know who 50 Cent is, right? So
Yeah.
if they see him doing that in an airport, I don't understand, but yet you see this stuff all the time. It's almost like you want to grab these guys as a PR rep and be like, dude, you can't do that. You're trying to protect your image and your brand and all this stuff. You have to understand that it's bigger than just you and your
Cell phone.
And it's not that difficult to have that filter in order to do that. And, it's just a mark of somebody who's younger, although 50 Cent's not a kid by any
No.
means. Somebody who's less experienced typically. You'd expect that sort of thing maybe from a Justin Bieber type.
Maybe.
But, there's, we all have a filter, and certain celebrities or people, high-profile people, there are many good ones, but there are some bad seeds, and they don't have that filter, and they don't think, like you said, they don't think about the consequences of being in the public eye and something like this happening. So it's a sad situation all
Yeah.
around.
Well, I think also with social media and cell phone use, everybody's fair game for anything at this point in time. It's really hard to control who is videotaping you, who is taking pictures of you, and where it's going. It's really, really hard to stay on top of that, whether you're just a regular person or a high-profile celebrity.
Yeah, everything's going to be caught on video
Yeah.
or audio
I
or
think I
security
read
camera.
statistics that you're photographed, is it 36 times per day? And that was like a year ago, so I can only imagine. Unawares, I mean, you don't know this is happening. So I don't know what the statistics are now, but I think that was about a year ago. 36 times
Part
a
of the
day.
problem is the dynamic that when people see a situation, they immediately pull out their cell phone to take a picture or video rather than addressing the
Address the
situation.
Yeah,
or
interact.
step in to try
Yeah.
to either break up a physical fight or to,
Curtail some
Curtail
sort of
some
activity that's not.
confrontation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it makes your job harder. It really does.
It does. Fortunately, my clients are businesses more than individuals, and these are relatively tame businesses that aren't, dealing with crises.
They're not controversial, right?
Pretty much. So it's I'm skilled in crisis communications, definitely, and I taught crisis communications, but it's not something I have to practice very often in my day-to-day job.
That's good.
Which is I think nice thing. But there are publicists who are, and by the way, the term publicist usually applies to somebody who's representing an individual versus
Right.
an organization.
Right.
There are publicists who pull their hair out or turning prematurely gray as a result of keeping their clients in check.
Yeah. Does
And
Donald
being
Trump have a publicist?
communication.
Probably
He's
has- probably
got
has the
several.
money.
He's got several. But,
He still has his hair though.
Yeah. Oh,
so
something resembling here.
and I did want to talk about today another useful self PR tip, and basically it's self-publishing for what we call thought leadership and getting your name out there in a positive way. And just a little bit of background. Back in the old days, when you and I were kids, if you wanted to get your thoughts published somewhere, you had to go through editors and publishers and a publishing company or producers or whatnot.
Or you'd have to find a literary agent or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the first step. And times have changed significantly, and now we live in this magical world where if you have something worthwhile to say or useful to say, you don't need the magazines, you don't need the publishers. You can go out there and get it out there on your own and even find a large audience. I'm not just talking about Twitter, tweeting something and hoping that people will start to follow you. That's kind of random, but and if you're trying to build business connections or build up your business, LinkedIn is one of the places to be. That's the Facebook for the business community. If some viewers are not fully aware of that, but LinkedIn about 2 years ago began a blog feature, and they invited the whole LinkedIn community to post on there. And it's been a beautiful thing because people can post their articles, their columns, their
events,
thoughts,
anything,
their information without any editorial interference. I mean, if you're posting something offensive, perhaps they would step in. But you're posting what you want in the manner that you want it, and you hit publish, and it's out there, potentially to be seen by the millions of users of LinkedIn, which is a wonderful thing. And think about that.
Wait, I have a question about
Yeah.
that. It's not just the people that you're linked to?
No, not
Anybody
at all.
and everybody can
Anybody
see
and
that.
everybody can see it.
I didn't know
Now,
that.
whether or not they see it is kind of still a matter of happenstance, or whether they stumble on it. But if you have something interesting, it's going to be viewed by more of the community, and then shared by more of the community as well, which means more eyeballs. And once in a while, you catch the attention of the editors at LinkedIn, because they are looking at the content, even though they're basically hands off. They are looking at the content, and that content that they think is worthwhile, they will then post to different LinkedIn channels.
Right.
And once that happens, then your viewers can take off, and you can start building an audience. And that might happen your first time out, it might happen your 10th time publishing. But if you have an interesting concept or a very timely concept that you're writing about, you could grab the attention of LinkedIn itself.
Yeah.
And then it gets included in people's email
Right.
updates of what's going on LinkedIn Pulse. That's what they call the blog, the Pulse.
You gotta watch this guy. He's all over the place. Wait till you hear what he has coming up next. He's been. I feel like you must have like this public relations laboratory that you're in, and you're just like creating and doing all
Formulating
this
things.
awesome stuff. Wait till you hear what he did this week. Wait till you hear. Stick around. I gotta take a quick break, and we'll be right.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facials, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at alicia@whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
With Mark, and we are talking to Gary Frisch, and this is the Reputation Wrap segment of Morning Coffee. And right before the break, we were talking about LinkedIn and the benefits of actually posting or blogging on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And Gary, you mentioned that you published how many blog
I've
posts
published
on
over
LinkedIn?
50 columns now, and in 2015 I published about 24 or so. Like I said, I've been
That's
publishing
a lot
from
of
the start.
content.
And I get an average of a couple hundred viewers to a column, but
Nice.
once in a while they do take off because, like I said, LinkedIn does share it with the larger community, makes it more visible. And I've had columns with 40, 50,000 views. I had one column with a third of a million views, actually.
A million views?
A third of a million views,
A
which
third
is
of a
about,
million.
about
Still a
Walmart.
lot. Yeah.
And I learned that every column I write now has to include Walmart in it. And
That's
I get
the
million
keyword?
views. Yep, because it's so controversial and people will just love to rant about
Interesting.
Walmart. But
Interesting.
so there are some things to know when you're embarking on this, and one of those things is, what do I write about? Well, you look at what your own expertise is. What kind of information can you share for the business community? What's going on in the world that you can tie into? If it's timely and related to something in the news, which is what mostly I write about, something going on. I mean, I could do a column on 50 Cent and get it up there today, and maybe you'll get some views. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but look at what's going on in the world and how you can tie your expertise into that. Think seasonally. If you're an accountant, write about things you can do now that tax season is over to grow your
Get
business.
ready for
The
next
basic
year.
rule
Right.
is
Right.
the basic rule is to write about what you know about.
Exactly, and try to write it in somewhat of an entertaining way,
Yeah.
engaging way, and just double check, proofread your content, tag your content. You get up to 3 tags that you
Meta
can
tags.
use.
We're talking about meta tags?
No,
or
visible tags.
Visible tags.
And
okay.
find an illustration, find a photograph to make it pop a little bit. Use italics, use bullet points in the text to break it up a little bit. And length isn't prescribed, but you could write 200 words, you could write 1,500 words. Probably the sweet spot's about 500 to 600 words.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
500 to 600 words.
I think most people,
Yeah.
if they look inside themselves, can find something to write about 500 to 600 words that the business community could benefit from.
Yeah.
And then share your content with the groups that you belong to,
Right.
because you have that
That's
option.
key.
Post it on your
Yeah.
own
Social media
or your own
whatever.
timeline on LinkedIn. I'm not sure it's your activity log on LinkedIn, but share it with all the groups you belong to, which you can do as well. And join those groups. Join groups of other like-minded professionals in your industry or other groups. I belong to multiple public relations groups on LinkedIn, as
Yeah, I
well
do
as
too.
New Jersey and Philadelphia area business groups. So
It's such an easy way to get connected with the right people.
and the more you do it, the more credibility you get,
Yeah.
which is a way of building up your own what I call
And,
aura of
and don't be
expertise.
intimidated by it if you're unsure of how to use it. You'll learn how to use it, and the more you use it, the more benefit
And LinkedIn
you'll
does
experience.
have published articles on how to publish on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it doesn't cost you anything but your time and energy.
Exactly.
All right, so I got to get into this. I was shocked earlier when I
There we
heard
go.
Gary Frisch from Swordfish Communications is now a published author.
Yeah,
Talk to
and
me,
it
Gary.
has nothing to do with public relations.
Yeah.
It doesn't?
No,
That's
Wait,
awesome.
We're all about PR. Wait a minute.
I
What's happening?
wrote a novel about baseball. I suppose there's a PR element in it as well as the business of baseball. The novel is called Squeeze Play,
I like the
and
name.
I've been kicking around this idea since the late '80s, actually, after college. During the late '80s and early '90s, there were occasional strikes in baseball, work stoppages, lockouts, etc. And the news media reported time and again that the owners always, considered the idea of bringing up the AAA farm, affiliates
Right, to fill in,
to
yeah.
fill the rosters. Football did it with the replacements at one time, but those were replacements. I mean, they were construction workers and some other players.
Yeah.
baseball has this built-in,
Farm
feeder
system,
the
yeah.
farm system, and so it's not a big stretch that they could just elevate the AAA players. And so my novel takes a look at what happens if they do that, and how do the fans react? How do the major league players react? How do the minor league players react? And the book is told through the eyes of an aging player manager for a minor league team called the Indianapolis Outlaws, who had a cup of coffee in the show earlier in his career and has been longing to get back, and he sees this as a chance, even though he knows that there's going to be asterisks next to every game.
Right.
But he wants this very badly. And so what happens is, first the fans kind of are skeptical, and then, they realize that they're now watching these players who are playing for the love of the game and not so much for multi-million-dollar salaries. And I think what would happen in real life is they kind of embrace them.
Yeah.
Because the working person can relate to these guys. And so the fans start coming back out, and these guys are getting popular. And nobody really notices that the big leaguers are gone at this point. And so the major league players are thinking, hey, well, this isn't going quite as we
Yeah, we got to get back there.
We got to get back there. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the negotiating table. At which point the owners are, a little bit, skeptical. They like the way things are going. The gate's up. They're saving millions in player salaries, and they say, well, not so fast. Things are going pretty well. If you want back into the major leagues, you got to earn your way back in. One game, Major League All-Stars versus the Minor League All-Stars. Whoever wins the game gets to stay in the big league.
And what year does this take place? What's the time
I've spent the last 18 months revising. I had written this many years ago. I spent the last 18 months revising it and updating it. It takes place in current day.
current day, today?
It's
what-
available on Amazon.
Yeah, and let's talk about that part of it, because not only did he author and write this book, you can get this book right now.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that self-promoting here, but yes, it's available on Amazon.
Well, hey, let me
That's
do
my
it.
marketing.
Let me do it then, right?
But yeah, oh, absolutely.
All right. So go to your Amazon Kindle app. I know you've got it on your phone. It came preloaded on my phone.
Yep.
And then what do I do? Do I
Look up
search Squeeze Play? Okay,
Yeah,
right.
Or fiction, baseball. I think it'll come up if you do a search of baseball books or baseball fiction. But I think the other issue here is going back to what I was talking about before with regard to self-publishing articles. We live in a world where you can publish your own novel
Yeah.
and hopefully get it out to the world. And it's like giving birth to your baby.
Yeah.
And this thing's been kicking around in me for many years. I tried the traditional publisher route back in the 90s, and it was very slow going.
Yes.
And
I'm
you
waiting
didn't
and
email
waiting.
things back then.
Yeah.
You had
Right.
to mail and wait for responses. I didn't get any traction. I didn't get any publisher back then. So I thought, I can publish it myself now.
Yeah.
And anybody who has a book inside them, and who doesn't have a book inside of them,
Yeah, right.
can do that. And this happens to be a novel in my case, a fictional novel. But if you are an expert in your field and you have a book's worth of information that you want to get out there, you could do that. And that's another great way to build credibility for yourself.
Yeah, it has
And
to
then-
feel good, right?
And then
Right.
once it's published, that becomes part of your resume, becomes part of
Right.
your LinkedIn profile. You can include a link to the book in your email signature.
You can have a website
You
for
have a
it.
website for it,
Yeah.
and there's all kinds of ways that you can help, and that will help build your credibility.
That's really cool. I wish you really best of luck with
Yeah.
the
Thank
book.
you.
That's
Thank you.
really
Yes.
congratulations. That's
Check it
excellent.
out.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look into this camera right here, camera 1, and I want you to tell everybody out there how they can get in touch with you.
My company is Swordfish Communications. It's online at www.swordfishcomm.com. That's how you'll find me.
Awesome. This was the Reputation Wrap on Morning Coffee. That is Gary Frisch. Gary, thanks for coming in again this morning.
Thank
We
you. It was
appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
We got to take another quick break. We're coming back. We got more awesome stuff. Stick around.